Is emerging on the face of the earth a new human, an infinite human, and that infinite human is you. Join Elizabeth Monroy weekly for enlightening discussions, multidimensional journeys, profound meditations, and empowering visualizations as we co-create the new consciousness renaissance together with other blossoming infinite human beings who are shifting the old paradigms of our broken, fragmented, finite 3D Earth and alchemizing it into a more expansive, unified, loving, infinite reality by reclaiming their true divine infinite power within as the co-creators of the new infinite Earth. Join us weekly for the Infinite Human Talk Show, hosted by Elizabeth Monroy, every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time.
Hello, my divine, infinite human beings. You're all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. And welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited because I feel like this is probably one of the most important transmissions that can happen on planet Earth right now. I know it sounds a little traumatic, but we're in traumatic times, and I feel like this information I really hope it just by putting it out into the collective, but also if you can really grok it and share it, is going to change tracks. We're going to shift from the AI timeline loop to the true organic, back to the future timelines, the organic timelines to the future that we as a collective, we as humanity, and we as our Mother Earth deserve and are destined to have. So really, I feel like it's a done deal. Um, so I've got an amazing guest today. I've been waiting a year to get him back on. Actually, the irony is that we had him on a year ago. That was the last time. And we were talking about the same topic, Tartarian technology and Tartarian architecture. But today, I feel like it's a really pressing matter, and we're going to go really, really deep. And it's really coming to the forefront of the consciousness of all humanity with the recent discovery of all this technology, we'll just say, that's been hidden, laying dormant, waiting for this time, waiting to be rediscovered under the pyramids. I'm talking about the recent discovery under the pyramids. So before I bring Eon Parks on, let me just kind of position and orient this very briefly, because I know right now we're having a huge rush toward AI with the President of the United States, President Trump, who's declared the U.S. the AI capital of the world. Now, I'm American. I don't live in America. I live in Italy. And I'm not political, okay? So everything is in my newsletter. I think it's February 1 on my website, infinitehuman.com, www.infinitehuman.com. And I say that we really need to take this equanimical, non-judgmental stance toward what's going on with Trump. You know, there's some good, bad, but if we get all caught up in that, we're just going to get too invested in the external world of duality. But part of my soul mission, and I feel very conscientious of this, is to expose some of the dark agendas that are running in this Trump-Musk combination of pushing everyone into artificial technology, artificial intelligence, or I call it stupidity, is really a time loop. It's the bad copy. And today we're going to go into great detail showing how that is a fallen angelic, the parasitical system that parasites energy and quantum off of living organic beings like you and me and you, and all Mother Earth and all organic life, rather than raising the frequency and healing and bringing it to higher levels. So these are the two things we're kind of giving you: door number one or door number two. Now, I don't ever ask you to believe anything I say or my guests. I have wonderful guests on, and I'm not always in 100% agreement with them, and they're not always with me. But I believe that if you're listening, if you're attuned to this channel, I respect you, and I know you have the ability to decide what is best for you. You have the ability to think, to discern, and this is a thinking person's talk show. So we're going to just explore these topics, and it's up to you. If you are a fact checker, well, maybe you better turn this off, because facts are known. I looked up the meaning of facts. Facts are something that is known. Well, what is known? Everything that is known to us now. We're going to talk about how it's behind a frequency fence. It's in the 3D earth, which is actually a illusion, a fake world. And I think most people are beginning to see how fake things are, with the fake food and the fake celebrities and the fake weather and the fake, governments and the fake education system and the fake science and the fake medicine. I could go on forever. And artificial intelligence is just bringing you more into this deep fakery. So I really want you to think about that. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Eon Parks on. And Eon's from Liverpool, so he might talk like a beetle. Eon, are you there?
Yes. Hello. You okay?
Okay,
Um,
so let me just give you a brief introduction, and if you can tell us a little bit more about yourself. But I just love and respect this this soul so much. I feel like he's a man of great integrity, great wisdom, and has a really expanded awareness. He's been a student of colonic science for, has it been 30 years now, or how long has it been? Maybe you can
probably a
expand.
little over 20 since 2002. So a little over 20
Okay.
years.
Okay, and you've
So
actually gone around and done a lot of the work in the physical with when it was Ashiana and she was doing her work. Is that correct? Can you tell
I've
us
been to
about
see
your?
I've been to see her in America twice, in one of her in live workshops, and I saw her in she had a London workshop. Uh, I think that was 2009, and then I went
Okay.
on a UK workshop, which was 2004, if I remember rightly. And that was like a week-long workshop where we travelled the Michael Mary line and done all
Oh
these.
wow!
They done all these sort of activations, because obviously the Michael Mary line, in terms of our
Spiritual.
teachings, it's like it's a fallen grid line, and we were doing sort of like spiritual activations well, there was a whole itinerary for the workshop, but we were basically trying to heal the grids in a very simplistic way,
Mm-hmm.
without going too
Well,
deeply into it.
for I'm just going to make a little interjection, if you could expand on it, for those that aren't, because this is a lot of people are just joining us for the first time, and if you're not familiar with colonic science, and it's the work of speaker one, who's been called Anna Hayes, Ashiana Dean, and now Ashiana, and in Ian Parks can give you her website, because we always like to pay respects to her. But I feel really, most of my speakers are familiar with this, because I feel like it's really important for people to know this information, because it's really our birthright. It was the information that was supposed to be in all the Bibles, not just the Holy Bible, the Christian, but the Torah and the Bhagavad Gita and everything. And it's the true science, which has been hidden from us. We're practicing a fallen science right now, and it's the true hidden history of our planet. And which, to understand that, then it explains a whole lot. So, do you have anything you want to add to that, Eon, about
Right.
colonic science?
Yeah. So here's something interesting, right? Which I've noticed. Out of all the workshops that I've watched from Asia, that's what she calls herself now, Asia. Never once has she mentioned Tartaria, and never
Yes,
once
interesting.
has she mentioned these buildings and stuff like that. So I've essentially been following these teachings heavily for the last 20 years. And then in the last like 2 or 3 years, I've been guided to this topic of Tartaria, and using the sort of knowledge that I've gained through her teachings about the creation mechanics and all of that kind of stuff. I've kind of like married the two together, and it's allowed me to see this Tartaria topic from a unique perspective, which
Exactly.
it's very interesting to put the two together, because there's a big picture.
Yes.
There's a lot of people. If you go on the Tartaria groups, like there's like Tartaria Facebook groups, they're showing you the buildings and things like that, but they're missing some of the background about the geometry and the creation mechanics
Yes.
that these people who built these things were using. And
Which is exactly why I wanted you to come on today. And I will tell you, folks,
yes,
we're gonna explore things that is gonna bring it into a much broader ground because this is huge. And like myself, I found Ashiana's work through first by intuition, and then when I saw her work, it resonated because it validated the things I already got. And I think the same is for you. A lot of
yeah,
people, it validates what you're already intuitively getting. So it's not like we're learning anything new or we're teaching you anything new. We're helping you remember something. So you mentioned the geometric patterns, and I noticed
yeah,
there's some really great people, but they're saying that it's in the pattern of the fallen, what the flower of life, or we call it the daisy of doom. The bloom of doom, the daisy of death. So, and is that? I think that's because though the geometrics were already naturally fallen. Is that correct?
right. So if you talk, what I've noticed straight away is if you look at these Tartarian buildings, you're talking churches, cathedrals, sort of a lot of the large buildings. They have like sort of squashed pyramids on the front with like Greek pillars underneath.
Hmm.
Um, like the triangle's called a pediment. They're frequency running pillars. Uh, there's loads of examples of that. The White House has got one of them outside of it. And you can see that all the way around the world. In Egypt, the Valley of the Kings. Have you seen that? Have you seen that sort of building that's like cut into the bedrock in the valley?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
That
Yes.
again, it's got the same squashed pyramid, the pediment on it.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
this Tartarian technology cannot just be traced back to these what you would expect to be a Tartarian building, but it goes back even further to the likes of these Egyptian things. They were all using the same technology, um, and
Okay, well,
that,
before we jump into that, just a second, okay? Because I kind of want to, I have kind of a flow that I want to do this in. So, according to what colonic science, we know that this artificial technology. I'm going to say what I think, and then if you can add with your wisdom. But artificial technology, from what I understand, there's Tartarian, which is divine technology, which uses that has a infinite structure that feeds from source, which is the crystallis spiral, which is open geometrical patterns that comes to source and back out, as opposed to the Fibonacci, which eats itself and parasites off of itself. And but what happened was, because we basically, back in the history, blew up Stargate 12, and the, fallen angelics, or you like to call them the parasites, it kind of covers everyone, decided to make themselves God and pretty much circumvent the natural infinite flow of our multiverse. So what happened with that is that they begin to bend and corrupt and invert and pervert technology, the natural, divine, organic flow of the law of one, which respects all life forms, and they created an artificial form of technology. And that's what we're being fed right now. Especially in America. I mean, you can, and I'll just say, I just came back from there. I mean, it's terrible. You get face scans all the time. You don't use tickets anymore. They scan your face. You call people. You can't talk to humans anymore. In fact, you don't even have that much human contact, because even if you go to a restaurant or something, everything's on computers. So that's the world that we're kind of being shoved into. So do you want to expand on, what, artificial technology really is?
okay, so for quite some time, over 10 years, they've had significant AI technology in China. The facial recognition technology is like everywhere in the big cities. You can't go anywhere without being seen. The whole society. I watched a video. It was about 10 years ago. Some man went over to sort of see how this technology was employed in China, and they've got like QR codes everywhere. Everybody's going around with phones scanning QR codes when they're walking into businesses.
Oh, that's
And
America too. That's the
yeah,
U.S. now.
yeah,
I just came back
it's
from
not
it.
as it's not as bad as that in the UK, but
Yeah.
essentially, um, the the AI technology in China has been so successful at controlling the population with all this what do they call it? It's like a credit system. You get points, and if you
Yes.
uh,
Or merit
social
system, and
social social
I heard
social
Trump
credit
say
system,
merit system. Yes, merit
yeah, social
system.
credit
Yes.
system.
Mhm.
The fallen angelics, the parasites, they they want to roll that system out onto the whole planet because it's been so successful in China that they want that whole system everywhere in the UK, in America. I think when they done the, I don't know whether you're allowed to say certain keywords on here, but the COVID thing that's just happened in the last 4 years, they were trying to push all that QR code stuff in.
I just call it the
Then
scandemic. I say the scandemic.
yeah, they were trying to bring that system in to the
Yes.
UK during that, and it didn't really work. People didn't really go for it. It wasn't as successful as what the parasites thought it was going to be.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
they're still trying to do it now. Now, the fallen angelics, in very simple terms, they're sort of biological template, if you like, the spiritual template that they work from in their body has been it's lost its connection to God's source consciousness field. So they're not getting the frequencies, they're not connected to, they've got no connection to source. So what happens as a collective is they want to try and control everything. They want to try and control all the resources because it's literally programmed into their genetic code of their DNA that if they don't control all the resources around them, they will literally die and run out of energy. So
And they
that,
will, because they don't feed from
yeah,
source. They have to parasite like vampires.
that's why I call them the parasites, because they have to feed on our energy. They have to take our energy. The people who have still got that connection to source, they have to take that energy off us for
Mhm,
themselves. And it's gone to like ridiculous levels at the moment. Like in the
mhm,
UK, like like taxes and money and stuff is a
mhm,
representation of energy. So the tax,
mhm.
the cost of living, and all of this type of thing,
Oh,
inflation and all that, it's all to do with taking your more of your energy off you.
okay.
Um,
And we're going to take just one short break right now, and when we come back, we're going to talk about how our AI system is a parasitic system of transhumanization. And be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
And welcome back to the Infinite Human Talk Show. I'm here with the great Eon Parks, and right now we're talking about the difference between the Tartarian technology that is now being unearthed. Part of that is Egypt, and it's been hidden in plain sight, so it's all around us, and it's coming back into our remembrance, our awareness, and the artificial intelligence, AI, artificial intelligence, has been being really literally shoved down our throats right now, which is part of the parasitic control, where it feeds off of us. Okay, it is not good for our physical bodies. The high, and I'll just say high 5 OG trees that are everywhere are very damaging. They were all put in during the scandemic and have a lot of health impacts. I can't go into much more detail right now because we want to make sure this gets on all the platforms and it's not censored. But and it's very damaging to our planet and all organic life. Whereas Tartarian technology is the exact opposite. It raises you up into the higher frequencies. It's extremely healing. It works in harmony with the ley lines and energetic template of our planet and the ether that was cut off out of all the science books, and the electricity, that is pulled in. So, Ian, do you want to talk a little bit more about why, it's such a pivotal time, I feel like, in history, because I really feel like it was just a year ago when I had you on and you said it's been hidden in plain sight. And I was like, what is he talking about? And then a year's passed and I went to Malta and I went all over, and right here in Italy, I saw exactly what you're talking about. So you want to kind of give us the basics of what it is? What is Tartarian architecture?
Well, the best way to hide something, as the parasites have learned, is to stick it right under your nose and tell you it's something else, which is what they've done very, very effectively, not just with Tartarian technology, but with everything. Now, basically, we live on this planet under, it's like an artificial set of frequency bands. It's like a sort of, it's a consciousness trap. It's called like the net fields, which stand NET, which stands for Niberian electrostatic transduction field. It's a set of artificial frequency bands that limits our perceptual range of consciousness. We can't perceive anything above D.4, so we can only our consciousness only operates in a small narrow band. Now, we haven't got no conscious connection to our higher selves and the race sort of memory and things like that. It's all been intentionally switched off in our gene code. So our DNA has been tinkered with to hide all these things. And also they use artificial technology to maintain this net field. They spray the chemtrails in the sky, and then they electrify. They create an electromagnetic repulsion zone at a certain point in the atmosphere, which stops the frequencies being able to downstep through the dimensional levels. That's what they're doing mainly with the chemtrails. It's all to support the net fields, to keep us spiritually blind and spiritually unaware, so that we can't. Now, because the frequency of the planet is raising, some people are able to perceptually start to see above the frequency fence. So people are like looking around in this reality, and they're starting to like remembering. They're like, hang on a minute, there's something feels strange, familiar. Sorry, something feels familiar when I look at this big cathedral or this style of building, and it's people starting to run higher frequencies of consciousness, and these perceptions, I believe, in the sort of the race memory is coming through. If you ever see any movies or TV shows where they depict heaven. They will always show heaven, I've found anyway, as Tartarian buildings. That's our idea of what heaven is, which is very, very interesting. Now, all these buildings have always been there, but until you get sort of someone points them out what they are, then you just look at it, and like you look at some of these massive, huge cathedrals and churches, like huge, massive churches, and you most people will explain it away. Oh yeah, they used to build things like that in the olden days. Now, I remember even when I was a child, I was thinking, well, why don't they build things like that now? What happened? What happened to stop them building those things? Now, basically, this is the whole topic of Tartaria. It's an enormous subject. The buildings are just part of it, but basically, the whole planet. This is Tartaria used to be Russia, essentially. If you look on the old maps going back hundreds of years ago, Tartaria or Great Tartary was in the place that we now call Russia. And that was like the seat of it. But these buildings and these styles of technology, it was worldwide. It was everywhere. The whole planet was using this technology, and it was like etheric technology. Now, if you look at the periodic table before, I think it was in the early 1900s, there was actually there was an element called ether, which was on the periodic table, and it was represented by this. It was like an A, the letter A, but it was like merged with the letter E, so it was A E together as one symbol. Now they removed ether off the periodic table, and then basically they created this fake science to say, oh, that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as ether. And they released all these experiments to prove that it doesn't exist. And it doesn't get taught in schools. It doesn't get taught in universities. They've whitewashed ether from science, right? Now, essentially, ether is energy in the air. And what these buildings were doing is you can, on the cathedrals and the churches, you can see that they've all got like these big tall spires on them, and aerials on the top. They're literally etheric aerials for pulling in and harnessing etheric electrical energy. It literally pulls it in from the sky and pulls it down into the building. And there was numerous ways this was used. It was that the entire society essentially was a free energy society. There was no power stations. There was no paying electricity companies. Everybody had access to free energy. Literally, it came through the air into the top of your building. And basically, here's an interesting one for you. I don't know whether I haven't got a picture to show you at the moment, but basically,
Caleb, can you start just running some of the pictures? For those that are just listening, we'll just describe them, but they're basically what Ian was just talking about: spirals with that are pulling the ether down, and you can just go through them. Can you?
Okay, so so these are from what they call the Wales Fairs, which were around late 1800s. Just hold on a minute, because I need to explain each one. I've got no ability to skip forward. Yes, these buildings are from the Wales Fairs, not the one on the right that you see now, but the one on the left. That's one of the ones from the Wales Fair. Now, history tells us that these buildings, that huge, massive, huge structures, literally like hundreds of feet high, history tells us that they were all made of basically plaster and wood, and they were all temporary structures, and they were built in about 1 or 2 years, and then for these Wales Fairs, and then everybody came to see the Wales Fairs. There was loads of them all over the place, and then shortly after the Wales Fairs, they all got demolished. That's what history tells us. However, that's not true. These buildings were already there, right? These buildings are from what I call the old world. This is the Tartaria world. I mean, this is like a Ferris wheel, and literally you can fit 100 people in each cart there.
Wow.
That was in one of the World's Fairs. Why don't they make things that big now? Why don't they have Ferris wheels that size now? This is like monumental technology for the turn of the century. Yes, so these
Okay,
buildings were
Jill, keep going.
there. This is just an example of you can probably see buildings like the one on the left in any city centre that you go to. There's lots of buildings like that in Liverpool. That one on the right is a church. I believe that's in New York. I had a little description below,
Yes.
but I think it's been cut off. I think that's in New York. And it just looks so out of place.
Yes. And
It's not. It's from a different reality. It's not
yeah, and
from
the
this reality.
spirals, the
Yeah,
spirals are enormous. If you can't see it, they're just huge spirals reaching into the ethers, the ether.
yeah. So all these little spires on that church, they're all etheric aerials for pulling in and harnessing etheric electrical energy. Now, you can also see on a lot of these cathedrals, there's like a sort of a code, like a sort of a geometrical round window. And some
Yeah, you
people
can see
say,
the rosette right there on that one. There's
yeah,
always a
yeah.
round rosette. Yes.
So that's designed to create a specific frequency. Because when you go inside these buildings, they will always have a big cavernous space and a big, massive pipe organ. And these organs weren't for playing music. They were, and they were also for generating specific resonances of harmonic frequencies to create certain template healing effects. And they were also doing other things with these frequencies in these resonant chambers. They were like opening up portals and things like that. This is like a lost technology which has specifically been hidden from us. Now, this building, can you go back to that one before, please? Yeah. So this is just showing you basically a building in Germany and pretty much an identical building in Japan. Which they're hundreds and hundreds of years old, apparently, which just highlights this same technology was duplicated and employed worldwide. Now, through researching all of this and this Tartarian technology, they literally had portal technology, whereas you would go and get a bus to travel somewhere. They would walk out of the door, go to the nearest cathedral or little structures called monopteros, and literally it's like a portal station, and you can walk through a portal and go somewhere else on the planet. Literally, just walk in, and then you walk out the other side, and you're somewhere else on the planet. They had free travel everywhere through a portal system, which were accessed through these buildings. And that was done in. I believe they were using the ley line system. These cathedrals and churches and all that.
Mm-hmm.
The front door was always positioned facing a ley line, so that the ley line came in the front door. And then if you go into any church or any cathedral, you will always walk down the main aisle, as if you like when you're getting married, you sort of walk down the aisle. That aisle is positioned so that the ley line runs right into the church and hits the altar at the end. And the altar is technology for like harnessing the energy, harnessing the ley line. So if you ever want to know where a ley line is, just find your nearest church or cathedral, and you'll know that it will be built like on that line. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, this is just to show you the etheric aerials, all the different types of etheric aerials. These can be seen all around the world. Any city centre that you go to and look at some really old buildings, you'll find these spires on them. So normally it will be some kind of copper aerial that sticks up, and then it will come down to a ball. There'll be like a copper aerial, then there'll be like a ball. That ball is filled with mercury. Some people say it's also red mercury, which is very difficult to find out what red mercury is, but it's basically mercury mixed with iron oxide. I think I read somewhere, yeah. And then basically, as the etheric energy comes in, the mercury starts spinning around inside the sphere, and when that starts happening, it creates a vortex, which mimics like a Merkaba field. Now, around your body and around the planet and around an atom, any level of creation you can think of that has a template, which is essentially everything, you have something called a Merkaba field, where there's a field spinning clockwise at the top, which pulls in electrical energy, and you have a field spinning anti-clockwise underneath, which pulls in magnetic energy. And what this technology is doing, it's creating a spinning vortex with the mercury, and then once that vortex is going, it mimics the Merkaba field, and it creates like a sort of whirlpool, pulling in massive amounts of energy into the building. So you only need to kind of like a small amount of energy to come in, and as long as you can get this mercury starting to spin, it kind of like self-reinforces itself and starts pulling the energy in. This is something that the parasites who currently control this reality, they have taken great pains to keep this technology from us. They don't want us to know that anybody can have free energy anywhere they are, simply by using a copper aerial and like a copper hollow sphere with mercury inside it, or red mercury. This is the basis of the Tartarian technology. Now, also as well, when they try to whitewash this technology from the humanity's awareness, one of the most common aerials on these buildings is what we would call now a Christian cross. So you're talking that, right? That's not to do with the Bible. That's not to do with Jesus. That's an aerial. And it's that the reason why it's that shape, it's a ratio of 2:1. Right? It's a ratio of 2:1. It's designed, it's that shape because it's designed to plug in to the Cathara grid template. And when they were trying to hide this technology from humanity, that shape was so ingrained in the collective consciousness of humanity that they literally had to create a cover story to explain why this shape was on all these buildings everywhere. And what they came up with was religion, a Christian cross. That's the explanation that they came to. That's to explain it away. And most people now they just accept that that's the reality, but it's not. When you start realizing that it's an actual aerial, then you can see many different variations of the Christian cross, where it's sort of it fractal, like on the point, it'll fractalize out on the arms into like smaller versions of the Christian cross. It's all like a snowflake. You know, a snowflake, as a snowflake grows and crystallizes, it'll fractalize out into sort of like what do they call it? A fractal. Essentially, it grows.
Okay, so
into
we're going to
smaller
take
versions.
just a short break now, and when we come back, I really want to talk about the true history, because I have a philosophy about Tara, and of course the Medusa effect of a lot of these cities that have been, turned to stone, petrified. Okay, so we'll take just a quick break. Thank you, Ian. That was fascinating.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like, it was almost instant. Like, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
And welcome back. We are having a fascinating conversation with E.M. Parks talking about the antennas that we think are crosses on all the cathedrals, and we're going to get into the real use of the cathedrals. But Ian, can you just finish up with some of the pictures that you have, and we'll describe the pictures for those of you who are listening on the podcast format. So
Yeah,
can you
yeah.
those pictures back up?
I'll just run through the last few.
Yeah. The last two ones.
Okay, so this is the one I wanted to show you. Right,
Okay.
This is what's mentioned in history as the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, which amazingly happened to burn down lots of brick Tartarian-style buildings. Okay, so you can now. What's very interesting about this picture? Just ignore that sort of red circle. That was someone trying to show that like they were using technology back then. But what I want to show is them two men, right? So the man on the left, he's got one hand in his coat. Now, some of your listeners may be aware that that is the Masonic hidden hand sort of sign. So he's telling you there that he's a Freemason, right?
Uh-huh.
Now the bloke on the right hand side, he's showing you his knee, right? And he's sort of like he's opening his coat and he's showing you his knee. Now that's another Masonic sign. They like to show you one knee. It's all a bit weird, to be honest. It's just bizarre, the things they do. But anyway, they're both saying we're Freemasons and we're responsible for this happening. That's what this picture means.
So let me just make this. This is so important. So really, all these Freemasons that we've all been talking about, we know the Illuminati, they've taken credit for building all these magnificent palaces and cathedrals, but all they did was mostly tear them down or steal them and repurpose them, correct?
Absolutely. They never built any of these. They needed a cover story to explain how they come to be in all these buildings. So they set themselves up as master stonemasons, which they're not, because if they were, why don't they build any of these buildings now? So they're not master stonemasons at all. They're called Freemasons. Now, Mason is masonry. What's masonry? It's bricks. It's bricks. Freemasonry. They've got free bricks by moving into all these buildings. Now, the Tartarian technology was all to do with etheric energy, and it was all to do with sound frequencies. So they call themselves Masonic. The word sonic, which means sound. Masonic. Now, when all these Freemasons meet, where do they meet? They meet in Masonic temples, right? They're sitting on all this technology, and they won't let us have it. They're keeping it to themselves because it
And they
serves their
perverted
control
it and
agenda.
inverted it too, haven't they?
Yeah.
Inverted and perverted it. Yes.
They've changed all the original
Downgraded.
frequencies of music and everything so that it doesn't hit the harmonics. When you have two specific harmonics of sound and they vibrate together in the air, it creates a specific harmonic, and then certain combinations of harmonics can literally have seemingly magical effects, template healing effects, and you can do things with it. You can open up portals. You can use geometry and sound and energy to open portals, and this is what they don't want
I
you to
wanted to
know.
say, yeah, one thing, if I may interject, the cathedrals were not, they have these pews in them, especially here in America. I mean, sorry, in Europe, you probably know that. Really, they're just brought in, they're little wooden things. There was never any place to sit. From what I understand, the people would just lay on these marble floors, and the music would, come in. And of course, the domes, we haven't gotten into the domes yet. And in fact, I wanted Caleb to show some of the domes I filmed when I was around.
I think there's like a couple more photos. One of them is the dome.
Okay,
Can you go to them?
but those would heal them. They would go into these cathedrals to be healed, not to listen to sermons. Okay, can you go? Time. Let's finish up with this, and then next week we'll go into more detail.
Oh, this is just to show how they've
That's
taken
gross.
the old Tartarian buildings and they've stripped away all the technology. So
But
the
they're the
etheric
domes. Those are those resonating chambers. Right?
on the top one, yeah, but on the bottom one, they've taken all the etheric technology off it.
What would
It's
domes do?
it's the same. No, it's the same building. That what you're looking at there is the same building.
Yes.
And the bottom one, as all the Tartarian technology has been stripped off it.
Exactly.
So it's no longer. So I think the next one is showing you the same type of thing. Yeah, so you can see like the old style Tartarian etheric technology has just been all taken off, and it's just been modernized and turned into just a normal building that doesn't really do anything. It doesn't do the free energy thing anymore. So yeah, can we have the next image, please? Yeah, so this is called a monopteros. It's like it serves the same purpose as a dome, like inside a cathedral. It creates a highly charged energetic field inside it. I believe these were used as portal stations. You could walk inside it. Those squares inside the dome underneath, they're ionic resonators. They're designed to create and tune a very specific frequency, resonant frequency. Inside that structure, the pillars will run frequency, and the dome will focus the energy, and the ionic resonators will tune the energy, and it creates a very highly focused energetic field inside, which I believe was used for portal travel. There'll be like some kind of etheric aerial on the top. Most parks, a lot of parks will still have versions of those monopteros in them. Can we go to the next one, please? I think yeah, this is just another cathedral, and again they have these like little flower things. Again, they are ionic resonators designed to tune the energy field inside it's like a cavernous resonant chamber. It's all to do with energy, geometry, and harmonic combinations of sound frequencies to create many different types of effects. Can we have the next slide, please? Now, this is the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, and you can see underneath the arch the same ionic resonators. Now, it's believed that these arches were literally, again, you could walk through them when the technology was working, of course. You could walk through these arches, and it was literally a portal station. So you could like march 100 people through, and it would come out in another one of these portal stations somewhere else on the planet. These are everywhere all around the world, these arches, and no one's actually ever explained what they are. But if you know what these ionic resonators are, you know that that's technology. Essentially, it's a big magnet. Can we just see the next one, please? I think this might be the last one. That's the Arc de Triomphe. Basically, it's inside, if you count all the roads, it's inside a big clock face. There's 12 roads coming into it. It's built on a template. The main road that runs like sort of into the building from the sort of like, well, it looks like the 2 o'clock position. It comes right in. That's the main ley line. And then the whole thing is built on a template, which is based on the number 12. And then it's got these, like, if you can look around it, there's like sort of subdivisions of it where it's in 24. It's template technology. And they were using that as they could literally walk an army through it and come out somewhere else on the planet, essentially. So, and it's called the Arc de Triomphe because when the fallen angelics took it over, it was a triumph over winning against the Tartarian civilization. So they called it the Arc de Triomphe. It wasn't called that back in the day when it was still working. It was a triumph over the fallen angelics winning against this old world technology and taking it over. So I think that's the last slide, if I remember. So yeah, sorry, I'm waffling on a bit now. I think we're nearly to the end, aren't we?
Yes, I have a massive rainstorm here, so I jumped. I was taken off.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, but you did a great job. So, do we how much longer do we have, Caleb? Can you hear me? Well, yeah, I just want to say one little thing, and then we can talk about it more in the next episode. I believe that this was Tara, and if you're familiar with Kelonic science, of course, you know Earth was at one time in the 5th dimension of Tara, and it was pulled through a black hole. And I think that's why we see these buildings all over, because when it was pulled through the black hole, okay, there's something. Okay, first of all, now, like on Earth, the highest emanation, let's say, of Tara, there's crystal cities, and this is like 7,000 years in the future. You know, they have all these kind of dome spiral, you know, kind of Taj Mahal look to them, but they're made of crystals. Many are gold, many are copper, and I say this because I spend a lot of time there because my divine counterpart, Peter, lives there, and so whenever I'm meditating or whatever, we're kind of flying through there. Now, I believe, and in fact, I even have the Medusa behind me, if you can see her. She's and it's called the Medusa effect because what they're saying, many Tartarian researchers are saying that there is something that happens when a cataclysm occurs, and I'll say, let's say it drops in frequency very rapidly, and it turns everything to stone. So I believe that a lot of these mudslide, you know, liquefied cities that we see were crystalline structures of the highest frequencies. And when they were pulled through the black hole, and you know, of course, our whole solar system was Tara, so we're just on a little fragmented piece of it. And these are the buildings, you know. In fact, even where I am now, I've been driving past these mountains that are, you know, peppered with all these caves in them, and people go spelunking there. And the more I'm looking at them, I'm saying that is a huge ancient city that was liquefied. I'm seeing that, and I'm
Yes.
seeing that all over. Yeah. So, final comments on that before we go on to the second part next week.
So essentially, Tara, there's versions of Earth going up the stack of the densities. So you had Tara, and then you had Gaia above it. At some point in the past, through the misuse of energy, shall we say, the staff of Gaia got reversed, and the end result of that was Tara blew up. And as you rightly said, this entire solar system is made from the fragments of Tara. Now, that's a very interesting theory, what you mentioned there, that some of these buildings could be elements of Tara that are sort of seeping through. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. It's a very interesting theory.
Well, we'll explore that next week on the next episode. But before we go, because we were running out of time, can you just tell people how they can connect with you? Because I know you have a YouTube channel where you discuss a lot of this, right, Ian? And a Facebook group.
Yes. So my YouTube channel is called Waking Earth. To be honest, I need to start making more videos. I've made, I think there's only about 4 or 5 videos on there, to be honest. I literally not got the time to do it. I'd love to be able to make more.
I know you're busy. And you also have a Facebook group?
I do. Basically, if you want to start investigating the teachings, the spiritual teachings that I follow, just go on Facebook and search for... I've actually got 2 groups, but the one for the beginners is called Know Me Earth, which is NOMI, Know Me Earth, Beginner's Guide to Fail-Safe Ascension, essentially. It's a bit of a mouthful, but you can look me up on there.
Okay, we're out of time, so bye, and we'll please tune in next week because we're going to go really deep into this whole fascinating topic. Ciao for now.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Infinite Human Talk Show with your host, Elizabeth Monroy. We hope today's episode has inspired you to join the new consciousness renaissance and be the change by reclaiming your true divine infinite nature within and becoming an infinite human and a co-creator of the new infinite earth. Tune in next week for another empowering episode. Until then, have an infinite week.